You know, most people think they need more land to start a homestead. But the truth is, buying too much land is the fastest way to fail, and most people don't have any idea. I've seen it happen more times than I can count. They start looking at 10, 20, maybe 50 acres. Because it feels like, well, the more land you got, the more security you have, the better off things are. But that's not true. The real question isn't how much land you should buy, it's how much land you can actually use. And today, that's when I want to walk you through what I've seen, what I do differently, and what you need to think about before you put that hard-earned money down for some land. Here's what most people don't think about. Every extra acre you buy comes with a cost. More fencing, more maintenance, and especially more time. Most of that shows up right when you're still trying to figure everything out. I've seen families buy 30, 40 acres with big plans laid out on paper and a huge budget. And within a year or two, most of that land, well, still not doing anything. It's just growing weeds. And it's costing them every single month. Not because they didn't care, they just ran out of time or money, or both. Land didn't fail them, but their expectations did. A well-used 5 acres beats 50 acres of frustration every time. So before you ever settle on a number, you need to ask yourself a couple questions. And these kind of questions, you need to be honest with yourself. First, what are you actually going to do with this land in your first year? Not 10 years from now, the first year. If you plant a garden, maybe a few chickens, you probably don't need 40 acres. You need good soil and something you can actually manage. Second question, how much time and labor do you actually have? Because land doesn't take a day off. Fence lines don't fix themselves. Pastures don't mow themselves. And critters, you gotta work with them every single day. Third question, what's my plan when things go wrong? And I hate to break it to you, things will go wrong. Stuff breaks, crops fail, income dips. If you couldn't maintain that land during a tough season, you probably shouldn't start right there. Look, you can always grow into more land, but you can't shrink out of a bad decision. If you've ever wrestled with this decision, you're not alone. Consider subscribing. We talk about this every week, the good and the not so good. Here's a simple way to think about it. If you're just getting started, especially if you're still working a full-time job, 1 to 5 acres is plenty. That's enough for a real garden, chickens, and maybe a few goats if you actually use it. You'll learn more from that first acre than 20 acres you're spread too thin across. If you've got some experience and you're planning for livestock, 5 to 15 acres gives you plenty of room to grow. But this is where people start to get stretched. You can rotate pasture, build systems, or you can start falling behind if you're not careful. And if you're going into full production, selling, running larger animals, maybe even off-grid, then 20 to 50 acres might make sense. But this is also where people get into trouble. That should come after you've proven your systems on something smaller, not before. When we bought this place, it came in right about 10 acres. And I'll be honest with you, there were seasons that it felt like 50, but we've grown into it. But I'm glad we didn't start any bigger, I'll tell you that. Now here's something I really want you to hear before you start looking at land. Land quality means more than land size. I'd take 1 good acre with water over 10 dry acres every single time. When we bought this place, it had been in cotton production for years. And for those of you who don't know, cotton farming is hard on the soil. It strips it, it compacts it, and it left us very little to work with. So we just couldn't move in and start homesteading. we had to wait. We had to work with it. We had to build the soil back up before we could even begin. And that taught me something. The land you buy isn't always the land on day one. Sometimes you're buying potential, and potential takes time. Sometimes a lot more time than people expect, unfortunately. So when you're evaluating land, look hard at water access, soil quality, drainage, and usable terrain. Find out what's been done with this land before you got there, because that history follows you. Good land doesn't have to be big land, but it does have to be land you understand. So how much land is enough? It's not about how much land you buy, it's about how much land you can actually use. More land doesn't fix the problem. Start where you are. Build your skills. I can't say that enough. Grow into more land when it makes sense. Because the perfect piece of land you're waiting on won't make up for the skills you're not building right now. The land will still be there. Your best years on it are the ones you don't waste waiting. So I want to hear from you. How much land are you starting with? And do you think it's enough? Drop it in the comments. I do read every one. If this helped you out, hit like and share it with somebody trying to figure this out. We've got more coming on the whole land process. And from all of us here at Possum Ridge Farms, until next time, I'll see you down at the barn.